Welcome to Polyglot Podcast. I'm Christian from Finland, and today we have a guest from Chile, right?
Exactly. Hello, everybody. My name is Amadeo Aguirre. And as my friend Christian said, I'm from Chile, precisely from the south of Chile, even more precisely from Coyhaique, Patagonia. So, para mis amigos chilenos, Coyhaique represent.
And Patagonia is only in Chile, or does it cover also Argentinian areas?
Also, Argentina is what is called the southern cone. I don't even know if that's the proper word in English, Cono Sur in Spanish, but yeah, the Patagonia is both Argentina and Chile.
Yeah. And what's your hometown? I want to start from your hometown, your life story, and then gradually come towards this point in life and talk about your language learning journey. So,
oh wow, okay. I'm from Coyhaique. The city is called actually in real Spanish is Coyhaique, but everybody says Coyhaique in English. So yeah, Coyhaique. Is a very small town. There are 15,000 15,000 people.
How many people are there in total in Chile? Is it like 10 million?
17 or 18 million.
Oh,
probably more. I'm not really updated with that, but yeah, I'm from a very small town, and even my region, the region of Aysén, there are 100,000 uninhabitants.
Yeah,
which is still very very tiny, even when the territory of the region is very big. But the explanation of that is just because the Aysén region is full of mountains, rivers, fjords, and even we have very big areas of uninhabited. Oh, sorry, I missed the word.
Yeah, uninhabited
places and very big places, and even parts that usually people say that is virgin, like no men have ever lived in those lands, because the weather, everything is so dangerous and also not welcoming. I don't know how to express it, to put that into words, but it works like this. I think almost okay, my camera.
Yes.
Okay, I think that for me it's kind of important to mention that, because the region where I'm from is kind of really isolated.
And is Aysén the southernmost region of Chile? Like after that, there are some regions below it.
There is just one region more. It is called Magallanes. And also isolated, but it has some advantages that make them even more connected than our region, which is very fun. But basically that in Magallanes is where you find the very famous Torres del Paine.
Okay, I know it. Yeah,
it's visited the whole year. Whole year.
And is it in Magallanes area where you have those ships to South Pole, Antarctica?
Exactly. Fun fact: that region, the official full name of that region is Magallanes y la Antártica Chilena. It's just as a way to claim sovereignty on that land.
Yeah, in Antarctica region, like Chile has a small claim there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Magallanes, it comes from the Portuguese explorer, the Magalhães, or something like that, I guess.
Well, please, any Portuguese speaker, forgive me if I mispronounce that, but it's kind of Magalhães.
Yeah. Okay, I don't remember Magalhães or, but anyway, so the name comes from him.
We understand.
Yeah. And in your hometown, so you had 15,000 people living there,
Mhm.
and I guess the first language, your first language was Spanish.
My first and let's say only language, only native language.
Yeah. Before we continue, I would like to know more about the languages in Aysén and Magallanes. Do they have a lot of indigenous languages? Like, is Mabudungun spoken there, or what?
Ooh, okay. We entered in a very interesting topic for me, but to put everything very simple, historically, there were indigenous languages in those regions. In the very south of Chile and Argentina, there have been languages, but nowadays they are uh, close to extinction or already extinguished, which is very sad if you ask me. Um, for me, uh, I'm not going to exaggerate, but I got really sad when a few years ago the last Yagan speaker died.
Mm,
She was a very old woman who tried to preserve the Yagan language, and she died, and now everything related to the Yagan people and the Yagan language is now dead.
yeah.
And yeah, that's it. You know, in the south of Chile, historically during colonization times, and but it was not handled by the Spaniards this time. There's been different companies. It's part of the history that I don't really master very well, but
Yeah.
yeah, long story short, genocides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, long story short, genocides. It is even said, I don't know, I've never checked that information to either to bust it or confirm that, but it is said that Charles Darwin even sent a company to collect some indigenous people for a living museum.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think in that time, like late 1800s, they had in America and maybe Europe too these like human zoos.
Yeah, so yeah, we only know that there were like indigenous people, especially in Tierra del Fuego, because most of those tribes were nomads.
Yeah.
There has been no like no settles, fixed settles, and in my region even less. I mean, I said that my region is very is let's say is a place very hard to settle down,
Yeah.
and it has been for one reason. We barely have any, let's say, any signs or any trace of people
Yeah.
live that have uninhabited those places. We don't have. We barely have just a few things. But I mean, I don't know, human instruments, human tools, human. Yeah, just that. We even have, and in that case, I don't have the word in English, but it's like some kind of art, but very prehistoric art in
Yeah.
one part. But that's it.
Mm.
That's it. And for for that reason and many other reasons is why in my region and also in the south, indigenous languages have almost zero impact in our lives, in our culture. It's nothing. It's very different if we go more to the north of Chile. You mentioned the Mapuches, and
Yeah.
they have a more visible and a more uh, yeah a more visible impact in the culture. It can be in good or bad ways, because now the Mapuche situation is nowadays it's more political more than culture or languages.
What's the situation? I think people outside of Chile and here in Europe don't know anything.
Oh, okay. It's just that Mapuche people don't have sovereignty on their land, and they want, or big people, a big portion of the Mapuche people want more independence, but a small group even wants like being completely outside of what is politically Chile. They want to be their own state, and all of those things. Different political parties have different points of views, but also the people who live in that area have different point of views. Unfortunately, that has led to some terrorist attacks, people who somehow justify them, or people who demonize them, like the people. It's so complicated.
Yeah.
But at least, I mean, at least the Mapuche people and the Mapudungun has a cultural impact in Chile, in that area of Chile, and also Argentina.
Which area is this? Like how much north from?
Araucanía, Biobío are the names of the regions where they have more presence, where they historically also have settled. A fun fact, I can also add that the Mapuche people, they have been the only people who really who never let the Spanish
Yeah,
conquistadors
I
to
read something
crush
about them.
them.
They like they were able to resist them much longer than
Exactly.
anyone else.
And the only one, let's say that the only one.
Yeah.
And if nowadays the state of Chile, if the state of Chile have, let's allow the sovereignty of that land, is not because of any war won. It is called pacification. I don't know, like
Yeah.
a peace process.
Okay.
And I'm putting with a lot of quote marks.
Yeah.
But it is called like that. I don't really want to get deeper in that topic, because to be completely honest, there are many things that I still don't understand, and I didn't spend enough time to learn thoroughly that part. So I don't want to talk about something that I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'll also have some Mapuche person as a guest in the future if I can find one.
I mean, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought that you said that you had one, but in any case, it would be so great if you get one. If you get one, oh my God, if that person can talk from his or her point of view, that would be amazing. I would love it. I would love it.
So, but I think you have better connections of finding some person.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. As I said before, I lived in a whole different area. I don't have direct contact with.
How far? Yeah, how far from your region you have to go north to before the Mapuche areas begin?
Ooh, I'm very bad at kilometers.
Yeah.
I would say that if you drive, it would take 2 days.
2 days, yeah.
2 days, including resting, like eating and sleeping. But I would say 2 days if you drive many hours a day. Because it's actually far. On on plane, maybe it can be of like 1 hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah. How long is Chile? Is it 2,000-3,000 kilometers, like north to south distance? Can you remember?
As I said before, I'm very bad at kilometers.
Okay.
A reference that I can give, and that like traveling by car from I'm gonna put my finger on the edge of the screen, from that side to, let's say, here. Let's say that this is Arica, the northernmost part of Chile, and Punta Arenas. If you drive, it would be the equivalent of going from Lisbon to Moscow.
Yeah, that's probably something like 3,000 kilometers. Yeah,
And if I have to, and if I have to estimate the driving time, oh Jesus, 1 week,
yeah. Okay, okay,
even more.
yeah. And do you have any knowledge about the indigenous languages in the north? Like I think Quechua, Aymara, maybe a bit.
Exactly. You just mentioned the two most important languages in the north, Quechua and Aymara. Exactly. Like, and I don't have.
Yeah, how much are they spoken in Chile? Because I know I have been in Bolivia, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Peru, where they are spoken
Mm.
much more. So I was wondering, like, are they that much spoken in Chile as
Yeah,
well?
it is a spoke. It is spoken in Chile, but if you really want better references for that language, yeah, it's better. Bolivia, Peru,
Yeah,
and Ecuador are better exponents of that. And Chile historically has been. I mean, I'm gonna put it in actual words and from mine. I'm so sorry, but the Chilean state has they have been a real motherfuckers
mm,
uh, with the indigenous tribes. Um, Unlike Bolivia and Peru, they always have had a huge better respect
yeah,
on on them. In Chile, especially nowadays, we tend to uh, I think that we try to be more Europeans, like trying to live our lives of forgetting about let's say those origins. I'm not gonna give much more opinions more than
yeah, yeah,
saying
sure.
that it's sad. It's sad. It's sad. I would really love to go around the world talking about an indigenous origin, or talking about or proudly about more other indigenous languages, but I don't feel that because it's not in my let's say not in my mentality, because I just grown up in a normal small city, isolated part, and many part, and even if I were born in Santiago, would be the same, and in a very uh, capital city like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you understand.
No, it's. I think it's interesting to know how much like Chileans like you know about the indigenous culture, because I think here in Finland we also have the Sami people in the north, but
Mhm.
they don't teach almost anything in school about them. So it's just interesting to know from different guests from different countries how much they've been taught about the other ethnic groups and indigenous peoples in their country. So that's why I was curious to ask about those questions.
Mm.
Before we talk more in detail your language learning journey, what languages do your family members speak? Your siblings, parents, grandparents?
Spanish. Only Spanish.
Yeah,
Yeah, nothing else. Even the English language. Um, Most of my family members don't speak English. Just my
yeah.
dad and my. I have, well, my brothers, of course, are learning, but no, no, just Spanish.
Yeah. Okay, let's then discuss about you more. So you grew up in the small town, and when you started school, did you like when did you start learning your first foreign language, which I guess was English?
Of course, it was English. In my case, in particular, only my case in particular, for some reason, the school where in my first years when I was very young, I didn't have English classes at it, and okay, I didn't, of course, think about that as a kid. And then I went to another school where uh, they had English classes, and for me, actually, it was really exciting. Also, in my particular case, I always love the fact that there are so many languages in this in the world.
Mm.
As so for me it was like, oh wow, English, what is
Yeah.
that? But okay, I want to learn. But um,
What age was that?
and nowadays in the Chilean education system, of course, we all have English classes
Yeah.
now. If they are effective or not, it's another history.
Hmm.
But yeah,
And at what age did you start learning?
how old was I? Hmm,
Can you remember the grade?
7 years.
Like, okay, so
Seven.
first grade probably, or
No,
second.
no, no. Second grade.
So you start school when you're 6 years old.
Yes, yes. And before I didn't have anything related to English classes. And I mentioned that because for, for some reasons my brothers went to different schools and they used to have English classes at those years.
Yeah. And when did you start school? Like, what's your birth year? Did you start in the 90s,
96.
2000s? Oh, okay. So that was in the 2000s when you started school.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my memories are very blurred. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. No, I just think if people are watching this in the future, then it's like interesting to know how the system was in the 2000s and in different decades. Because I think it also changes in every country. Like every decade, there are some small changes in the education
mhm.
system.
Yeah,
Uh,
of course there are. I have younger siblings, and the way they are learning English, their English classes are so different. I even have the feeling that the younger generations now can really speak English, but
mm,
I remember when I was in high school, and not even high school, I can even mention university.
yeah,
I can say that just a few people really good English. Um, and I remember that in high school, I used to have one classmate, and he was the one who had like the highest level of English, and everybody was, oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
It
But
was
how did he have?
because it was not common.
Yeah. And what did he do differently? Did he get like much more exposure to English language, or was he just more talented, or what was the reason?
Oh, I feel tempted to contact him now. But back then we didn't talk that much, but I remember a few conversations. He just mentioned that he he played more video games in English. Remember that back then all the video games were in English. You couldn't really change the language
Yeah,
of those video games, not like nowadays. And I suppose it's just, I don't, you like more, you like what to watch movies, you like to read something, I don't know. I remember that back then everything I used to
mm,
do was in Spanish. Nothing, I used
yeah,
to
yeah,
watch
yeah,
videos in Spanish on YouTube. Because, well, because I didn't project myself like abroad.
yeah. And in Chile, I think everything is dubbed in Spanish. All the movies, series.
Cartoons, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mentioned cartoons because it's with what I've been growing up.
Yeah,
Um, and talking about cartoons, sorry if I deviate a little bit. I
no
just
problem.
no, it's that now with my girlfriend, I used to right now, like, we watch sometimes cartoons that we used to watch and in English, and
Yeah,
I'm constantly all the time comparing the dubs, comparing all the work of giving voice to the characters, uh, all the time saying, oh, in Spanish he says this.
yeah,
And the voice they use is like that, not like in English. Sometimes it happens that I prefer the Spanish dub, maybe because it's what I'm used to my whole life.
Which cartoons have you been watching?
Oh, lately, for example, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Which one?
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Okay, I don't remember that one.
Oh, you know the pink dog who lives in a place called Nowhere, together with Muriel and Eustace, two old people, and they are in every episode they have different villains or spirits or ghosts or phantoms or spirits that
Maybe,
haunt them.
maybe if I see a picture, I would recognize, but no, it doesn't. For me, it was Tom and Jerry, Dexter. What else? Yeah, Pokemon, Dragon Ball,
Mhm.
Sailor Moon.
Yeah, all of those that you just mentioned, I watch them in Spanish dubs
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
all the time. And okay, in Latin American dub, I have to also differentiate that because
yeah, yeah.
in Spain they have different, and Latin America and Spain are constantly making fun of each other about the dub different things, how we translate some
Yeah.
parts, and especially of some movies or cartoons is interesting.
Does every Latin American country have their own version, or is it like in Mexico, in a big country, and then everyone listens to that version?
Yeah, we in the whole Latin America have the Latin American dub. Most of them are from Mexico or Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. The companies are located, or I don't know if nowadays, but at least back then
Yeah,
used to be also located in Venezuela and Mexico, and the main voice actors are from those countries, but particularly Mexico, yes.
so then you were like exposed to like a bit different accents of Spanish, like the Mexican and Venezuelan.
No, no, they. I don't know if the concept of standard or neutral Spanish really exists,
Hmm.
but if if it does exist, it's from it's from those companies.
Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. So you mentioned already university, and I guess between uh, starting school and university, you didn't have any optional languages in
No,
like high school or anywhere. Did
no.
did you even have like
Maybe
the chance of picking a optional language?
at least at least I didn't have, or I don't remember actually having the possibility or of at least participating in a workshop or something. I don't
Yeah,
know, something optional for some extra credits. No. No, never.
yeah,
Never in my case. Only English. Only English.
yeah. And as you're from a small town, I guess you have had to move to go to
Yes,
university.
you you guessed correctly.
Yeah, because I guess a small town of 15,000 people, probably you had to move to a bigger city. So
Mhm.
did you move far away from your region, or was it in your region, the university?
No, 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 no. I had to to a city called Viña del Mar, which is one from the capital.
Mm,
And the capital of Chile is ironically really in the center of Chile.
yeah.
If you fold Chile like this,
Hmm.
like there in the bottom would be Santiago, and
Yeah.
I used to live or I used to study in university. By the way, I studied tourism. The reason why I had almost English every day, and pretty fine. I mean, of course, makes sense if you're studying tourism, you have to have a good level of English. But I still don't get why I, or at least I don't to my English classes at all. Because in my personal point of view, I think that I improved and I passed to a really good level, or to a really efficient level of English, not thanks to university.
Yeah.
It was, let's say, kind of thanks to myself, but not as saying that I found the correct way or something like that. It was probably more a change of attitude. Like, probably it was the moment of learned or realized that I can project myself outside my country, and that I learn different languages. So it was probably that mentality that changed, and that made me really have start like putting more effort on learning and improving my English properly. Because honestly, in university, I had like normal average scores, neither good nor bad, just average. But still, I never felt like confident enough to really
Mm.
to really do things in English. Thanks to university, it's not that I only had good marks, and I think that that's the story of many people, like having good scores sometimes, like good vocabulary, probably understanding correctly grammar points, but still like not able to speak it for, I don't know, insert reason here. In my case, was like
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I just couldn't doing in the right way.
Were your studies mostly in Spanish, the courses, and then you had like some courses in English, or how what was the proportion of like English classes, or how much did you have to learn in English?
Um, I think the grammar classes were advanced. Were really advanced in university, especially in my last years. Yes, they were. Um, so you really had to know a lot. I'm not saying that they were like Duolingo, only making you repeat basic sentences over and over.
Yeah.
No, no, I actually don't really criticize the education system in this case. My opinion on that goes beyond blaming the educational system. But at least in university, yes, I had a pretty advanced in grammar classes, and I remember precisely one teacher in particular who who made a effort on improving our pronunciation as well, like getting rid of the accent, or not like a beginner, a Spanish speaker beginner in English, because actually I do remember how I used to sound like. I'm not gonna say that now I sound native, but when I'm speaking, I'm not pronouncing the thing as I used to.
Mm. Yeah. Would you now afterwards, would you have wanted to have more options, like as a younger child in elementary school, middle school? What do you think?
I would have loved to have the chance of. Sorry, your question was about learning like other languages?
Like, do you think they should have more options? And like, if you could affect, would you have chosen other languages if they only had some other languages available in elementary, middle school, high school? Um, and
Yeah,
do you think they should now add more, or is the situation already better currently?
mm, okay. I think I have to answer to that question first, answering another question that you haven't asked, but I have to put
Yeah,
that now.
yeah,
Chile and Latin America in general is not culturally diverse in terms of contact and exchange with other languages. And it can sound very bad. Think about that. In Europe, let's say you were born in, I would say, Poland. Just to give an example,
Yeah.
you have Germany that speak German. Uh, you have any like more countries with different languages. Going to Poland, visiting Poland, living in Poland, or studying in Poland. You have the Erasmus program where students throughout
Yeah,
the
I know.
EU can go study. So my point is that since you are a kid, you are already in contact with people from other countries,
Yeah.
and whose languages are different. In this case, has never been like that actually. Even when Chile has some kind of developed tourism economy, for me it was still kind of surprising to meet a foreigner on the street, for example, who is traveling
Yeah.
in Chile. There are parts in Chile that where you will find tourists everywhere, but it's not the situation throughout the country. And maybe the capital, they can say, no, there are tourists everywhere and I can talk with them. I don't know. But I'm not even talking about tourists. I'm also talking about just people who go to another country to live or to do something. Oh, in Europe, I hear all the time, oh, he's a German married to a French lady, and so on,
Yeah.
like different language, all of them always with the necessity of learning either the local language or just
Mm.
all of that situation just don't happen in that situation doesn't happen in Latin America, just that.
Yeah.
So I also think about how people in my continent might think about that. It's like I don't see any urge. I don't feel any necessity, any need of learning English that hard.
I understand.
Because yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
you're like one big market, like from Mexico to South America, like Central and South America, like one huge marketplace where you can get jobs in different countries by speaking only your native tongue. So I understand that situation really
Mhm.
well.
And now we can get to your original question.
Yeah.
I think that since I grew up with no simulations or no motivations for learning foreign languages, I think that I wouldn't have really chosen that, or probably just the hype of the moment,
Mm.
but without necessarily using that for the rest of my life, or having like, oh yeah, I can't wait to learn Italian in Chile when
Mm.
and also let's be honest, like people that don't most of the people don't really have any desire for, let's say, oh no, I wouldn't say desire, but for example, realistic projects of moving abroad
Yeah.
for living. You, so many people, and I understand why, just say, well, I will probably live my entire life in Chile, and if we're gonna get like a massive group of people coming to our country are gonna be from neighbor countries. I mean, we in
Mm.
Chile, we have a huge migration wave from immigration wave from Venezuela, and Venezuela speaks Spanish, so it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
again.
So probably that affects also the government and the government's decisions like to put money on education, because there is not like it doesn't, yeah, it's, you don't need to put money in the language education because everyone already around South America, Central America speaks Spanish. So I think maybe there are some economical factors as well.
Yeah, and of course they're gonna put all the effort just in English,
Yeah,
because I think that nowadays nobody can really escape from English.
yeah.
So it's gonna be just for English things, English cases.
Yeah.
But any other language, maybe Portuguese, maybe some people, but
Mm.
all, but Brazilian people are very understandable for most of us.
Yeah.
Or if it's not, they're gonna learn Spanish. Or if it's not, we're gonna speak English, which is
Yeah.
also sometimes the case. So once again, like motivation or having or having like the necessity of learning another foreign language apart from English, it's like, why are you
Yeah.
gonna do that? i
I
even think I even think that even in Europe, you might think that why learning another language apart from English when I can just speak in English in any other country I go. Maybe the old motivations are, the intercultural couples, marriages. Oh yeah, I want to learn let's say my girlfriend's native language in order to speak with the family. Maybe that's a good a motivation factor. But I mean, once again, it's like English is everywhere. It's like eating all the languages.
yeah, I agree. So after getting your degree in tourism, I guess you developed the passion for languages after that.
Okay, one disclaimer. I didn't finish university.
Oh, okay,
so
okay. So you're still,
so no, I don't have a degree.
yeah.
But in fact, it was during university when I started having my desire of learning all languages, and I started with French first.
How did you study? Did you have classes or just
No,
self-studying?
no, all by myself. All by myself. I studied in the same time Italian and French at the
Oh,
same time.
okay, yeah.
Let's say that I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't found a YouTube channel of one man who just created videos teaching those two languages in a way that I understood. Like from the very basic, when you are a full beginner learning your first foreign language, you need basically a very step by step for dummies. You cannot really, okay, bring me everything and I'm gonna try to figure out. No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. He used to have the video like the Italian alphabet, uh and then how you say how are you, like very basic, very basic.
Yeah.
and and yeah, he had like videos like that for Italian and French. So I said, okay, I'm gonna learn then Italian and French at the same time. And for a few months I did like that, and I was just getting more and more excited. It's like, oh my god, I'm actually learning. I cannot believe that. Then I started studying more French, and eventually I forgot about Italian because I just found French more interesting. For me, it was like, oh, among the Romance languages, French is the hardest.
Yeah.
And also, like, being completely honest, because yeah, this is or yeah, that's the point of this meeting. Also, I said like, and girls prefer French language over Italian, right? It's more romantic. Is gonna give me more girls, right? Yeah, yeah, of course. If
Yeah.
I just start flirting and I say, oh, I learned, I know how to speak French. That was my mentality back then.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So actually, that made me made me stick to the plan of learning French. And yeah, of course, that was only the first motive. Afterwards, I started like learning because I indeed had like a great pleasure on learning languages, and as if it were a matter of magic, gradually more foreigners started like appearing in my life in Chile.
Yeah.
And after quitting university, I started I started working as a receptionist in hotels, and all I wanted every shift was to receive French travelers and German travelers, because 1 year later I started learning German because I was already in the hype, in the momentum. I took advantage of the momentum.
Yeah. How long ago was this? Like when you started French and Italian? Like I was thinking about the timeline. Like how many years ago did you start?
I can, yeah, I can even give you month and years because I remember them perfectly. And I started on June 2017.
Yeah.
I started learning both languages. So 2 months later, it was June, July, August. Okay, September. In September, I remember when I had my first encounter with French people, because I started using couch surfing as a host, couch surfing, the platform where you can
I've
get
used
to
it.
other. Perfect. I started couch surfing with the intention of getting foreign travelers in apartment back then. And my first travelers were French people. And that was the first time that I used the extremely that I used to know back then, but that was more than enough to with my plan to keep learning. Okay, that was, I said 2017. Okay, on summer. Oh, because by the way, summer in Chile, is December, January, and and February. In that summer, I made my first internship in a hotel, and again, like moments after moments, experience after experience of getting foreign travelers, and start using a little bit the languages that I used to know. Of course, I used more English, but I remember my first French travelers, and I think I was 20, 21 years old, but I was like a kid. I was as a kid.
Yeah.
Like a kid, sorry, like a kid, like so excited. It was like that. It was not every day because most of the guests were local Chileans.
Yeah.
But it was different colors of the passports. I was like, amazing, bring it on. And another fact is that during that internship, I'm saying again, I repeat, just the summer of 2017, 2018, I was so excited to speak as much French as possible, but we used to receive more German travelers. And yeah, and it was precisely like that when I said, what am I doing learning French? I should be learning German because there are more German travelers. And guess what? That was exactly what I did. And I remember my parents like saying, of course, like always motivating me. Yeah, very supportive, but still like saying things. But Amadeo, don't you think that probably learning 3 languages in a row, like at the same time, is a little bit too much? And how about your English? You still
Mhm.
think that you have to improve your English? And yeah, I had to deal with those comments, but I was still like
Yeah.
saying, no, 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 no. I have to learn all of those languages
Mhm.
no matter what. Then 2018, I got back to the city where I was studying, and I keep learning French and a little bit of German. I remember that back then for me, German was like the hardest and the most impossible language in the world.
Why?
Uh, because I didn't know anything about that language, so for me it was everything like weird sounds,
Yeah,
weird pronunciation, and extremely hard grammar, according to me.
I
But
agree.
it was some, yeah, yeah, well, but it was something that I ended up overcoming in eventually. Well, but it was like that. I continued using couch surfing as a host. And once again, I remember even a week where I had like five. Oh, yes, it was five. Wow, incredible. Yeah, five French travelers in my apartment at the same time.
And
In
how big was your apartment?
it was
Studio flat, or how many rooms
no,
did
no,
you
no,
have?
no, no. It was big because it was actually an apartment that my parents bought.
Oh, okay.
And my family is big, and they said, well, if the whole family comes here, we need many rooms and all of that. But during
Yeah.
the year I was alone, so yeah, it was a big one. And yeah, but once again, like more experiences. I remember that even in university, my scores, my notes in English class even improved because of that. Because as I said before, it was just a mentality change. I started also saying like, okay, I will use English actually in my life. So I saw that like not more like a boring subject on university that I have to oh, so boring. No, I started like seeing like, okay, it's some actually use. So okay, let's study harder.
Yeah. So those years you had a lot of chances to use English, French, German, and that's how your skills got better.
Just English and French. German was studying German, but very in a very slow pace. And yeah, let's say that the German language takes protagonism later.
Yeah.
For the
Okay.
moment, for the moment was only French, and actually my French level got very like I improved significantly my French level, especially in that period. But okay, it was also in 2018 where I quit university. So
Hmm.
it was also that year.
Why did you quit?
And oh, personal reasons. Personal reasons that it's not big, but let's say that one of the reasons that I got or part of my mentality back then was also like um here with this career, I don't think I will get where I want to get. I don't know if I express myself correctly. It was
I
like
understand.
probably this is not the path that if I want to get to that part or something like that. Uh, but anyway, I got back to my hometown again. Uh, and I even got back to the same hotel where I did my internship, Hotel Diego de Almagro. And I mean,
Yeah.
that hotel only have a little space in my heart because it's a hotel that saw me, uh, that witnessed, let's say, my
Mhm.
growth, even when they didn't really care. I
Yeah.
was only the young receptionist who likes languages, but
Mhm.
get back to work.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
and it was in 2019. I was back in my hometown. I was determined to save money to travel to Europe. That was all I wanted. So I I used the entire year of 2019 to save money and also to learn languages bad as if I were going to die the next day. I was like that. That year I studied like very crazy. I also learned about italki, so I also started like paying for classes,
In
and
which
I got
languages?
in German and Polish.
Polish?
I said I was in the momentum.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to let that momentum pass.
yeah.
Somehow I was aware that one day I would I would slow down my pace, that I would probably even lose motivation. As so I knew that I had to take advantage. It's not something that I consciously knew, but I was aware that I have to use all the free time that I used to have. I mean, I had a full-time job, yes, but I don't know. I still felt that I have a lot of time. So that was exactly what I did. So I learned French. I learned more German, and I learned more. And I started learning Polish, and Polish was actually my first encounter or my first step into Slavic languages, and everything has a reason. It was a domino effect
Hmm.
because probably Polish is not precisely one of my strongest languages. In fact, I think it's kind of weak because I haven't practiced and all of that. But it opened my mind like a can opener for
Yeah.
Slavic languages to nowadays speak Russian very well and with no problems in the beginning. For me, Russian, I did. You think that I felt intimidated with Russian? No, not at all. When I started learning Russian, I was like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready
Yeah.
for this. But okay, getting ready to 2019. Okay, you already have like the
Yeah.
timeline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 2019, I but that year I learned more German and I had a lot of German opportunities to practice German in that hotel, and it was amazing. I also took like at the italki classes, as I said before. I was, yeah, I was on the top of the mountain in
Mm.
terms of languages. Uh, Apart from that, because I had a purpose, it is different like going to your work, probably thinking that you're going to stay there for a long time and you don't know when. No, in my case I was like, no, that year I'm going to work there. Yes, I'm going to save money because next year I have a project,
Mm.
something like that. So I was like, uh, I was with that mentality, so full motivation on the track, still on that grind. Oh no, and my levels got really improved in French, German, and I think that it was more like I don't know, like it had to be like that. Italian as well, because after all, Italian like came by itself, together with Portuguese. Let's say that I was thoroughly learning French and German,
Mhm.
sometimes some Italian, some Portuguese, and I eventually grasped
Yeah.
a lot of those languages.
How did you listen to YouTube, or did you have also on italki some
Exactly,
lessons?
exactly. No. In that case, everything was on YouTube.
Mm.
Everything was on YouTube. Uh, I loved. I used to love. no, I used to love watching travelers' videos on YouTube, or just everything related to travels or geography. So, and purposely like looked for these kind of videos on my target language. So I did that with basically every language that I was learning by then, except for Polish because I didn't understand anything.
Yeah.
And but with German, for example, I found a YouTube. No, I don't know if it's precisely a YouTube channel. I think it's more like a TV show that is also available on YouTube. But it's called Wer Reisen or Wie die Reisen, something like.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was like that. Like I just wrote on the browser, like, okay, a place where I want to visit, just to give an example, let's say Austria, Österreich, or okay, or Warsaw. I remember Warsaw. I was kind of in love with Warsaw.
Yeah.
So okay, like Warsaw, the Reisen, and they had an episode of that, and I used to watch them. There was that I wanted to learn even the dialogues thoroughly. So I paused the video like every freaking second. I activated and deactivated the subtitles to little parts, to some minutes, over and over again, until my mind really get everything and exactly what they're saying. Oof, what a year. What a year.
And that was 2019.
2019.
Yeah, before the famous time period in our old lives.
Okay, that's a more personal story, but everything is related. So no, it was just that on 2019, even in 1 year in advance, I had already bought my flight ticket to Barcelona, Spain.
Okay.
And yeah, and my flight ticket was for March 2020.
Wow, that's a good timing. Perfect timing.
No, it was.
Did you step on that plane ever?
No. No, it got canceled. Yeah. And even before it got canceled, that moment I had already assumed that it's gonna be impossible to travel. And even if I travel, what am I gonna do? So no, I decided to stay. But I made another kind of mistake. But like now we are in 2020. Okay. Yeah. 2029 already passed. I got like that amazing year for me, where it was like pretty, let's say, boring. Like if you see it from outside, it was just a young man going to work every day.
Yeah.
And then getting home to study languages. Like nothing really, oh, what an adventure, man. No, nothing, but
Yeah.
But it was amazing for me in terms of like how much I spent learning languages. Then 2020 arrived, and I made, let's say, the mistake of still how would you say that, like, and I still underestimated the virus, the COVID-19. Yeah. Because I said probably it's European stuff. It's something that is gonna get really screwed up in the other side of the ocean. It's not gonna get here that terrible in America. So I decided to travel to Bolivia and Peru when like on at the end of February, beginning of March. I said, okay, I'm not gonna travel to Europe. Then I'm gonna travel a little bit through South America, and then I'm gonna get home. Probably I'm gonna just work a few months more, and then I will travel again. What a naive Amadeo, thinking that it would take just a few months.
Yeah.
But when I arrived to La Paz, Bolivia, the situation already got fucked up. So
Lockdown.
yeah. So nothing happened. I had to get back to Chile, and I got back to a city called Iquique, where fortunately for me, my aunt lives and many family members in Iquique. Is the very north of Chile.
Mhm.
So you can also get an idea that I was like on my lockdown here, and
Yeah.
my home is like here,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
In that lockdown, guess what? Guess what I was doing in those months
Pro,
of
pro, probably learning languages and maybe adding some exotic new languages as well.
You got it right. You got it right. Yeah. How evidently you have talked with so many polyglots in your life because you can already like foresee many things. In exactly. In those months, like no job because I was not working at all. It was locked. Indeed, all I did was learning more and more languages, and you said, oh, you probably added one language. No, I added like three or something like that. I was like back then during that lockdown, I continued like learning Polish thoroughly. German was already like, okay, now it's time for Polish. For me, it was like that.
Yeah.
It's time for Polish, but also I started learning Turkish, Chinese, and many other languages just for fun,
Hmm.
not with a real intention of learning them thoroughly, but it was like maybe I stick in one of them.
Yeah.
But especially Turkish. I was more motivated with, and okay, and now this is the part of the story where a new factor enters. I mean,
Uh,
I have to mention that because after all,
mhm.
it's part of the language path. It's a new thing. It was just okay. You talk to me on my Instagram account, right?
Yeah.
We leave the polyglots path. This is that account was created precisely during the lockdown.
Hmm.
Uh, it's my second account because I have my personal one.
Yeah.
And in that one, I created that for two reasons. One, to post everything related to languages, because I noticed that I was posting language stuff in my main account, and probably people don't really care about
Yeah.
that. So I said, okay, then I'm gonna post it in a second part. The one, those friends that are interested are gonna see that, and new people as well. So that's what I did. I was posting like every day Polish sentences. I was speaking in Polish to the camera. I still have the videos there in my
Mm.
on my profile. It gives me a little bit of cringe, but
Yeah.
it's what I did. It's what I did. Um,
And that's how your 2020 went, basically, in Chile,
exactly,
in like the lockdown.
exactly. Thanks to that, I also met many new people. I met many new friends in line. And I said, why the story gets interesting? Because one of those friends is nowadays my girlfriend.
Mm.
And, and my girlfriend is from Kazakhstan.
Oh wow! So she found
Yes,
you on Instagram, your account.
yes. Because she was also doing her lockdown, but in Kazakhstan. And
Hmm.
she also opened like a second account of languages. And it was exactly how we started like talking. And we started like in a very we started as friends. We started like a friendship there
Yeah.
back then, because she also speaks Turkish and I was learning Turkish. So for me, it was like perfect. Teach me Turkish, and that was exactly how it happened.
That's a bit
She
similar. That I experienced. My wife actually
Oh,
found me on Instagram, and she's like a
oh.
language person too. But yeah, continue your story.
I'm also interested in your story, but if I may finish
Yeah, yeah,
at least
sure.
that part, is it precisely that we talked and talked. Eventually, I got back to my city, but still locked down, still jobless, but at least with my family. Uh, and and I never stopped like learning more and more languages. 2020 was also a year full of languages, full of languages. And okay, I'm gonna skip the rest of the year because there's nothing like more to add. But
20 from
also saying that
2021.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But in 2020, I also learned, I wouldn't say a lot, but for me it's kind of a lot of Chinese. Um, and I say like it's not that I speak Chinese at all, but
Mm.
I learned many characters. I learned how to write them. I
Yeah.
got many parts. I learned some words. I recognize a little bit. So for me, it was a very nice. So if one day I resume my Chinese learning, I already have a basement, as a solid one actually. But I don't speak Chinese. Don't I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. Um, it's something just for the record. But now we start 2021. I was still in Chile, and me and back then my friend, we started like properly dating with real intentions of how are we gonna meet? Are we gonna
Yeah.
meet up, or what are we gonna do? Because I'm in
Yeah.
Chile, she's in Kazakhstan.
The distance is quite big.
Yeah, no. Oh, well, I said that it was better in kilometers, better at kilometers, but in that case, I know it was almost 18,000
Wow.
kilometers of.
Yeah.
Okay, but the language related part is that I started learning Russian. So for me, 2021 is the year of Russian language.
Is your girlfriend a native Russian speaker or Kazakh? Which one? Or both?
Yes, yeah, both. She speaks both languages, but let's say that she thinks in Russian.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, that year was like now year of Russian. I remember that I started 2021 like learning a lot of Russian and determined
Me
to,
too.
to oh
2021,
nice
2021. Yeah, because my
2021.
yeah, because my wife is Russian speaking Ukrainian, so we started
Oh,
practicing together Russian.
oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool. And I would say that nowadays, Russian is the language that I practiced and learned the most. No, I'm not saying that I speak better Russian than any other languages, which is not the case, but it's the language that I practiced the most,
Yeah.
and that I had most of like a lot of help, a lot of resources, and a lot of opportunities from everywhere to practice and learn more and more Russian. Unlike any other language where my opportunities has been kind of limited.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2021 was the year of the Russian language. I remember that I already learned the Cyrillic alphabet, or at least how it works,
Hmm.
in some sounds and all of that. But that year I learned how to I learned the handwriting system.
Oh, that's impossible to read.
I learned that it is not
Yeah.
impossible, but yeah. um, um, basically that, and it was also 2021 when I finally traveled to Europe. It was now 2021 in October. I traveled to Italy,
Hmm.
and I traveled to Italy to join to a missionary organization for a few months. I Yeah, I joined them for life experience, and also because I wanted to do that. And surprisingly, like once again, even when it was in Italy, where of course I practice a lot of Italian there, but also spoke a lot of Russian. Uh, a lot of Russian. I traveled to yeah, after that. So I spent like 2 months in Georgia, and now is where we get again to 2022.
Hmm.
If you notice, I'm not talking like, oh, that I learned that language, I learned that language, and no, no. As you can see, like back then, now it got like the moment of like relax, relax, only Russian. But
Hmm.
then, but on December 2021, I traveled to Georgia and I spent 2 months here. And guess what? Guess what? I spoke also a lot of Russian.
Hmm.
Well, I'm again in Georgia, but yeah,
Yeah.
in this country. In 2022 again, on March, I traveled a little bit after that moment by myself with some friends, and then I moved to Austria, to Vienna. In Vienna, now I'm gonna go kind of fast. That part it was
Yeah.
last year.
Sure.
Vienna. I worked in different parts in different hotel. The language thing that I have to mention, probably there are two most important parts. Is that before I got my first job in German, oh man, that story deserves probably a whole new different podcast
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
episode for me. But let's say that I felt that I was not prepared. I thought that my German was awful for that job.
Yeah.
I felt bad, but very bad. So I had like one intensive course for by myself, like arranged by myself, like
Hmm.
every day learning, listening, writing, speaking, and what else? Like at least not everything
Hmm.
in German, because I was like, like I'm about to start a job. Ah! And as a receptionist, I was very nervous, also anxious, so everything bad. But at least I would say that that was, let's say, like the thing that pressured me, like the pressure that I needed
Yeah.
to also put my German in another level. That was that was the kind of pressure that I think that everybody needs once in a while.
Mm.
I I always say, every time when somebody says, Amadeo, what is your secret or your talent to learn languages? Most of the times I say, like, have fun learning languages. But that moment,
Mm.
let's say, change a little bit that opinion. I still believe that that the most important thing is to have fun, like to enjoy the
Yeah.
process of learning languages and taking all the time you need. Don't feel pressure on learning in 1, 2, 3 years. No, no, take all the time. If it's gonna take 10 years, so be it, but enjoy.
Mm.
So yeah, it's what I still believe that. But in that case, oh my God, that moment of pressure, but also not only pressure, it was with a little bit of being also scared, because I felt I'm gonna start a job and then they're gonna see that my German is not as one, so they're gonna
Yeah.
fire me. And I said,
Hmm.
no, I need the job because I'm running out of money. So it was also like that thing
Yeah.
that pushed my limits in German. And that period changed everything. Well, not every story have a good ending. Uh, I wasn't fired, but they moved to me. They said, like after one the reception, they said, Amadeo, your German is not bad, but not good enough for being a receptionist. How about we moved you to the restaurant? and I accepted. In the restaurant, okay, my stress levels really low down because that first week was awful. Was awful. I'm not saying that I spoke bad German, but I encountered like the first times, or the first time in my life where my brain said, Amadeo, if you don't understand that sentence in German or know how to answer that part in German, it's something bad.
Yeah.
Like in school, when I had the pressure of you're gonna get bad marks. In my case, was you're gonna get fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now that everything happened, I think that was probably necessary in my case. I don't know what can be the best or the healthiest conclusion for this, but I'm not gonna deny that thanks to that situation, my German level improved a lot.
How long did you work there?
In that hotel in particular, I worked 2 months, but only 1 week as a receptionist, and the rest of the time as a waiter. I also had to use a lot of German, especially because my colleagues spoke German, and also me talking in German with the other guests. But let's say that as a waiter, the mood is more relaxed. It's not like that pressure and all of that. And for every people who might think, oh no, Germans or people in Austria, they are racist and all of that, I'm not gonna deny that probably there can be people, racist people, but at least all I encountered were people like extremely happy of me being a foreigner, trying to speak their language, but they still like, oh, but let's talk in English. It like, get relaxed. Oh, where are you from? What are you doing here? Do you like our country? Oh, welcome, and all of that. It was everything that I encountered. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I'm gonna finish that part. For me, was necessary saying, yeah, pressure, a lot of pressure, anxiety, a little bit, yeah, all of that thing. Maybe I didn't enjoy very much at that moment, but in terms of languages, it was the best.
Yeah.
And then once I quit that job, because I ended up quitting, I didn't like in an overall, I went to Poland. I traveled to Poland for 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks were amazing. Not only because I truly love Poland. So for every Polish person who watches this, I love your country a lot, and also your language. But yeah, those 2 weeks was for me also like the great opportunity to use the Polish that I learned, and like to make also worth all the stressing moments that I spent trying to understand the Polish language back then when I was learning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, once again, the biggest story that I have was one day in Krakow. I entered alone. Because I was traveling alone. I went to a bar in Krakow, and I said to myself, I'm gonna enter to that bar alone, but I'm not gonna leave that bar alone. I was really determined to start anything. I said I need to do something. And coincidentally, everything worked for good. That's a good ending. Yeah, basically, I started like a random conversation with a group of men that were a group of friends, all of them. I took like advantage of that little moment to make them to give like some kind of sentence to them without being, let's say, creepy or cringe, to make everything as natural as possible. But they said, come on, hey, from, and all of that. But the great thing here is that everything was in Polish.
Wow.
My God. I still don't believe that. And my Polish was not perfect, but was the first time probably in my life that my whole brain and my whole thing was in Polish. I said like to myself, English is not gonna be here to to help me. I'm not gonna resort to English in any moment, and that was exactly what I did. And we spent a good time in that bar drinking vodka. Yes, I'm not gonna lie that probably alcohol helped me a lot,
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah,
But everything was in Polish. Then, well, they were not young people precisely, so for them was so to say, okay, let's go to eat fish in one in in another part. So we
yeah.
moved to another restaurant to eat
Hmm.
fish, and for me was also like amazing. More people joined as well. Everybody was like, "Hey, he's from Chile and he knows Polish," and I was like, "Hello, yes." And then we went to a karaoke, and in that karaoke, it was only Polish songs
Mm,
or English songs. I love karaoke. I don't sing like majestically,
yeah.
but I love singing in karaoke. I love it. But uh, uh, and that karaoke had like the rule of never repeating songs, and they had a narrow list of English and Polish songs. Well, the English songs was very narrow, and many Polish songs, because it was a live band. I mean, the band
Oh,
played that song, but
oh,
you
wow.
you sing. Yeah, it was a nice one. I actually want to get back there once I get back to Krakow. The thing is that all the English songs that I really wanted to sing were already sung, so no way to repeat them. And when I checked the Polish songs, and I was thinking, there is only one Polish song that I know very well, because indeed I practice Polish with that song. Please, that song must be there. And guess what? The song was there.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm gonna sing that fucking song because 2 years ago, I was like, saying, two
Yeah.
years ago, I discovered that song on internet. I wrote the lyrics in a notebook. I learned everything, the meaning. I still remember a big part of the song.
What's it? What's the
If
name
you're
of the
wondering,
song?
Weź nie pytaj, from Pavel, and I forgot the rest of the part, but the singer is Pavel,
Yeah.
and it's Weź nie pytaj. Oh my God. So exactly, I just select that song and top of the mountain, because I said, like, I learned that song for one purpose. Like in that lockdown, because it was during the lockdown, I discovered that song. I learned that song. I sang that song. I even know that song on the. I knew back then in 2020 during the lockdown that I would sing that song one day,
Yeah.
and that day arrived, and I did that. For me, it's very important. It's very personal. Yes, yes, yeah. But mm, it's a highlight in my life. It's definitely a highlight. So I sang that song, and poof, amazing, amazing. So that's everything that I can mention
Yeah.
about languages last year. Now, this year, right now, let's say no particular new language that I'm kind of learning, but I started a little bit getting interested on Turkic languages more, especially with Kazakh language. I traveled to Kyrgyzstan this year. I spent two months on Kyrgyzstan, and I wanted like to create some content. I but I didn't really learn a lot of Kyrgyz. Or something like that, or not as I used to, but I got really interested, like genuinely interested on doing something on, and maybe teaching something for many people. I wanted to create something, so that's why I made like those reels of Kyrgyz to travel to Kyrgyzstan.
That,
And
yeah, I think that was interesting. I think that was around the time I like noticed your posts and the Kyrgyz language posts and having like different monuments or sites from Kyrgyzstan and including some texts. So yeah, I think that caught my eye because Kyrgyz language is not that common. So
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Well, and I want to do the same with Georgian here. Uh, well, and right now, today, 19th August 2023, I'm in Kutaisi, Georgia. If you ask me if I'm learning Georgian, yes, I am. But okay, Georgian is proving me that whenever you think that there is an impossible hard language, there's always one language that is even more impossible and more difficult, because Georgian, okay, that's also another episode, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to learn as much Georgian as I can. It's fun because they have a whole new alphabet, and fortunately also, like, the people that are surrounding me right now, including my girlfriend, everyone is so interested on learning the language. So there is it's a very nice motivation. I just miss the years when I was like every freaking minute with a notebook, writing everyone, watching everyone, writing and pronouncing everything. No, everything is like very, 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 very slow. But I would love to make some content in Georgian. It's just that I don't know how to start or something like that. That's another topic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And currently, do you live in Georgia, or what do you do
I'm
for
living in Georgia.
work? Work.
I'm living in Georgia right now. I'm here. I'm even about to, let's say, have some kind of job, very simple job here. It's like nothing, not like in a restaurant. I'm in Kutaisi here, but yeah, the place where I'm right now, I'm living here.
Yeah. And you live alone, or your girlfriend is also there, or Kazakhstan?
Yeah, I'm living. This is like a big house, and there are more people here, so we are all living here in this area. It's like a friend's. It's a friend of mine. It's a project of a friend of mine in Kutaisi. It's called Lena Academy. Because the friend, one of my friends who is living here, he actually created an app for language learning. You can check that out. It's called Lingo Fund.
Okay. Yeah, I can.
So he has now projects. He's working on that. He wants to, let's say, to. Uh, no. It's not Kickstart because he has already kickstarted it. But
Yeah.
let's say a speeding up his app, his project with more concepts and all of that. And I'm also here like to help him.
Yeah. And what's your plan for the next years, and language wise, and also thinking about where you want to live?
Okay. My real purpose or language goals is to to learn as much Georgian, because I'm going to stay here probably for the rest of the year, to learn as much Georgian as I can, to improve more my Russian, and I'm doing that by learning more vocabulary and all of that. But I also, it's, let's say, that's a goal that I have always had, but it's not like an urgency. But I'm still thinking about having, let's say, a more professional or official test uh, for my German. I want to the Goethe but zwei, and to get that certification, because so far all my languages are only in my mind. I can prove them by speaking to some people, but I still, maybe for more professional things, I would love to have professional certificates, and I think that it's now a moment for doing that. I didn't mention, but also in 2018 yeah. I don't know. On 2018, I dared taking the DELF B2 of French, but I failed. I failed. But it was a nice experience.
Yeah.
But since then, still thinking of having a rematch.
Yeah.
So yeah, in general, now my goals, my language goals are pretty simple. Uh, because probably if I want to talk about like a project, I would really love to create content and at least being one step closer to make it a living, or just,
By
or I
doing
don't know,
content, like
doing content.
yeah.
Yeah. uh, because I love talking about these topics. I love doing that, but in the other hand, I also don't want to make like this things that you can always find on YouTube. I want to try to make something in particular, but everything is still in the ideas realm.
Mm. Yeah, there's so much competition nowadays in Instagram, YouTube, like
Yeah.
all over.
Well, I don't care about competition or being famous and all of that. I just want to create something. I want to see something and say it's my creation.
Yeah. But you know, if you want to make a living, then you have to create
It
something that is successful enough, like so that you can live by that project.
yeah. Well, probably I can live that purpose for many years
Yeah.
later, but or at least as a vision. When I was learning languages, my vision was like to be fluent in 10 languages and all of that. Well, 5 years have passed since I started learning my first languages. I'm not even close to be fluent in 10 languages or something like that. But that was the vision that brought me here to where I am right now. So it's good to have sometimes that healthy amount of optimism.
Yeah. Can you list like what are your current best languages, like, or from best to worst, that you have some kind of knowledge or skills?
Okay, skipping Spanish and English, let's say that the second or the next best languages that I speak nowadays are French, Italian, German, and Russian. Let's say that those languages are that. My girlfriend insists that my Polish level is good, but I don't know. That's maybe yes, maybe no. Polish is in a level of that I don't even know, but
Mm.
I'm gonna dare saying that Polish is also one language that I can speak surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I would add now that's the category of languages that I have also a surprising good amount of knowledge, but not but I don't talk, I don't speak in those languages, but I can surprise native very well. And these are basically Turkey, Chinese, Kazakh, and basically those languages.
What do you think? Which ones have been the most difficult ones, and why?
The most difficult, I would say Polish.
Yeah.
Yeah, Polish is basically because it was my first encounter to Slavic languages. Thanks to that, uh, uh, I was not afraid of Russian when I started. I really started learning Russian with no fear at all. I didn't, Russian didn't intimidate me at all, but Polish did.
Mm.
And also let's assume, and I know that even Polish speakers will agree with me, but reading Polish is a headache.
Mm.
It's a headache, and when you don't speak Polish, all you hear are
That's exactly what I think about Polish, because I don't speak Polish.
yeah, and it's yeah, it's like that. And Polish probably was the first language that I not okay. It didn't make me cry, like dropping actual tears. But man, if I was ever like in a point of thinking that I will never learn that language, that one goes for Polish. In a few moments, I really felt that Polish would be impossible, that I'm wasting my time. At some points, I really got that thing. Thanks God I overcome that part. But yeah, Polish has that record in my life.
Yeah. If we take into account all the languages of the world, what would you say if someone asks you, like, what are the most difficult, maybe top 3 languages in the world? Because I mean, I guess you have also seen on Instagram online posts about like top 10, top 5 most difficult languages. Do you have
I
any
hate them.
opinion about this?
Well, I hate those kind of videos actually,
Me too.
because
Me
everything
too.
because everything depends on your native language and
Yeah.
how and and also your expositions to different languages. So
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I don't think that there is a real actual hard language. So let's say my own top 3, it's only depending on the languages that I've been like determined to learn.
Yeah.
I would say that okay, and number 3 would be Polish probably. I would put Russian instead, but once again, Polish was my first Slavic language. So for me, Russian was never like, oh, what a hard language. No, never.
Mm.
So Polish, and then number 3, I would put Turkish. Turkish because first of all, as a Spanish speaker, most of the vocabulary is absolutely new. There are just a few words that we have kind of in common, but apart from that, every word has a whole new thing. So I don't know. It's even in English. Sometimes if I don't know a concept, I know that probably it has some Latin root, or yeah, and I can just transform some words into Spanish, put
Yeah.
it into English, and I have a 50% of chances that is the correct word. But yeah, in Turkish it's not the case. It's just not.
Yeah.
And also Turkish, the Turkic language's syntax is a mess. It's a mess that until nowadays I still cannot fully understand that. If many people say, "Oh, but it's so easy. Put the verb at the end." Yeah, but like saying that, it's so easy to say. But now
Yeah.
put your brain, manage that your brain knows what are the final verbs that you want to say, especially if your sentence are long.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
You forget what you said in the beginning of the sentence.
Exactly. So no, that for that reason, put Turkish in on the second place, and for the first place, definitely Georgian, because Georgian now screws everything. With Georgian, I always say something Georgian. Every language has their advantages and disadvantages, or better say, some characteristics that make them easier and some other characteristics that make them harder. Every language, and you can always find some kind of balance like that. Let's say, for example, Spanish. Spanish has a easy pronunciation. Let's say that. But and let's say that the hard thing of Spanish are verbs, because you have tons of tenses and irregulars that you have to learn by heart. And it's not just a few verbs, are many verbs, many verbs. And without that, without even mention the difference between ser and estar,
Oh, I hate
that
that.
that even the most proficient speaker can have a bad time with that. So, but I said again, like, one hard point for Spanish, an easy point for Spanish, and you get a balance. The same for Russian. Let's say Russian grammar is complicated because they have a lot of cases, and yeah, and sometimes declining all the nouns and adjectives in Russian can be really difficult, even for the most proficient speakers. So, okay, let's say that's hard, but in the other hand, the verbs in Russian are so easy, Conjugating them is not hard at all, and you have just a few verbs.
Yeah.
Okay. But Georgian, no. Georgian has hard pronunciation because Georgian, they have different sounds that I can't even pronounce them in the alphabet, like starting directly with the alphabet.
Yeah.
They have the p, pa, pe, pi, po, pu, but also they have the pa, e, pi, o, pu, also with a, e, ti, o, tu. I don't even name them correctly. They also have the ka, e, i, and also have the a, e, oh, it's and many consonant clusters. Like people say, oh, Polish have no vowels. No, they don't know. They don't know Georgian. Georgian has even more. So 1 point for the level of difficulty of Georgian. Then we have the verbs. You can learn the list of verbs in their infinitive forms, but believe me that once you start conjugating them, they don't look alike. They are not similar at all. You're learning a whole new different word. Then we have area once again, because the root is from the Kartvelian languages, nothing similar at all to any Indo-European language. So forget about taking some words from your native language and putting into Georgian. About that, and I know that I'm missing some other points, but believe me, Georgian is the hardest. Is the hardest. Hard verb conjugation system, hard pronunciations. They also have verbs. So also get ready of declining nouns and adjectives. Sometimes the Georgian verbs goes also at the end. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. How you distinguish that? I have no idea. Another screwed up part of the Georgian verbs, like keep talking about Georgian verbs, is like exactly like, no, not exactly, but in Arabic, sometimes you have some patterns where you add, let's say, some words or you join some words either in the end or in the beginning or in the middle. Okay, so that's Georgian. In the same conjugation, you have to put you have to mention the direct object, the indirect object, and everything is going to depend if you're talking about actual facts or desired facts, or if you are giving orders, and everything is one single verb. And I don't know. It's just...
how long did it take to learn the alphabet, to read the Georgian script?
I think that 1 week.
Yeah.
One week, because let's say mentally reading is not hard, but trying to like following like what you're reading, it can take time, and I'm still very slow. I'm still very slow. Like I cannot really read like following the flow. I'm always syllable by syllable. Uh, la, because once again they have a lot of consonant clusters.
Yeah.
I don't know what else, but Georgian is definitely for the moment my top one. Not even Chinese. I said that I've learned some Chinese. Not even Chinese for me sounds it sounds cold.
Mm. In general, are you interested in different scripts? Because I think you can read the Latin, Cyrillic, Georgian, and a little bit of the Chinese. What's your opinion about different scripts?
Well, the when a language has a new script, for me it's a great challenge. Is because in general, what I'm chasing after are things that are very different from my culture or from what I know. So, uh, so if I can travel to a part where I can really feel that I'm so far from the world, like even like that, um, I mean, I mean, maybe that's why I went to Kyrgyzstan and to Central Asia, because it was part of my journey of feeling probably that feeling of, oh wow, this is definitely not Chile.
Yeah. In this point, I have to mention as an advertisement for the viewers who are interested about foreign scripts. I've published a book with my wife, which is here. I will include it down here, about 100 different writing systems. So it basically has 100 different the script charts on the left page, and on the right page there's like empty paper, so you can just start writing. So everyone who's interested about scripts, check out that here below the video.
Well, very nice advertisement. By the way, in your book, do you have like the traditional Mongol writing system? Because I'm really interested on learning that.
Wait. So let's see the Mongol 63. Let me see. The Mongol script is here. Here is the chart on this page.
Amazing.
And here is like empty page to start like writing. And
Amazing.
yeah, there are
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah, there are a lot of different scripts here. So whether it's Georgian, Armenian, Mongol, yeah, we try to include like 100 most important ones. And yeah.
Well, that's on my wish list. learning learning Mongol, and in particular that one, the traditional Mongol script. I would really love.
Mongol, they write like from up to down, I think. Yeah. What
and for the moment
you in the Mongol? What interests you particularly in the Mongol script?
Exactly what you just mentioned is like, first of all, the curious part of writing something up to down. It's new for me, and I think that it would be very satisfactory for me if I'm able to write that, and not only to write that, but also to understand, to say those things. And I also have once dabbled into Mongol. and I know that one day, eventually, I will start learning Mongol, because I'm so enchanted with the Mongol culture, the country, and the language. For the moment, I only remember how to say. Oh, I forgot. Sambanu. I was how did I forget that?
Is it
Sambanu.
is it the greeting?
Hello. It's reading because Mongol is one of the few languages, or let's say, it joins to the club with French, Danish, English, where you don't really pronounce exactly how it is written. So Mongol also joins that club, and I love it.
Yeah, we definitely have to film another episode, maybe in 2-3 years, if you have like some new language projects and been learning in that point Mongol, or you have mastered Georgian to be conversational or something. But I think,
I hope not to disappoint you.
well, anyway, some new projects in the future, so we can make a part 2 in the future. But yeah,
Excellent.
I
love it.
I think it was a really interesting discussion. We talked broadly about Chile first, and then about your journey, and then also compared a little bit about the languages here. In the end, do you still have something that you think you would have wanted to mention or talk about or ask me, or anything that you still want to say?
Well, about me, actually, to mention, I wish that once we have another episode like this one in the future, I wish that I will have already visited many other countries and learned a few more languages, to especially in particular Mongol, because it's one of my most important languages on my wish list. Fun fact, it's just that the antipode of my city, Coyhaique, the antipode, the furthest most point of the world from my city, is precisely Mongolia.
Oh wow!
So I also want to go to Mongolia to say, like, man, I cannot go any further.
Yeah.
If somebody me to be like far, like, I'm gonna say, I'm so sorry, I cannot go any further from here.
Yeah.
Just that is for the record, is for a personal thing, but of course the language, and many other things, the Mongol language is interesting for me. It's calling me, so I know that eventually I will also learn Mongol.
I hope the next episode we do together, you will be in a yurt, in a Mongolian yurt, and we will be speaking when you're there in Mongolia.
Amazing. And and probably singing also, the throat singing.
Yeah. That would be perfect.
Yeah, many things. Yeah, in particular. But now, I am curious about you. So probably now I can be the interviewer.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's just like I bumped into your Instagram profile long time ago, or I don't know how long time ago, but I remember like having met your Instagram profile and seeing like all the different books with the purpose of learning all of those languages, and you have practically every language in the world. I don't see no language that you missed.
Well, Yeah. So what was the question?
What is yeah, it's just that it got my attention,
Yeah.
and my probably just my question just to start with is like what motivated you to create those different kind of notebooks?
Yeah. That was 2018 when I got the idea, because I thought that like empty notebooks get messy so quickly, and I already had like more than 10 foreign languages that I was learning, and having all textbooks and everything for one language, I needed so many different materials where to review all that I knew from one language. So my idea was to create one notebook where I could get like the most important vocabulary about almost any topic. But then I was too lazy. I was trying to find something like that online. I didn't find. And half a year later, 2019, uh, I started creating this book. And my idea was to like get a book where I don't need to organize it, because there are already topics and there are already the most important words, and just blank spaces where I can just write. I can show you, like this is the first one. So basically in the left page there are like lists of words and phrases like you can see here, and then you just fill in the answer in your target language, and then the other page is empty. So for example, this notebook has 68 different topics, and in total the left pages have 2,500 words and some phrases. That means when you find the answer in your target language, you know already 2,500 words. And when you fill in the empty pages, you will have probably around maybe up to 5,000 words, and you can just find the different the topic. Like I have from greetings, introduction to weather, languages, and more like harder topics like politics and everything. So that's how I will have then in this notebook on every chapter different topics and the most important vocabulary. And I created this for myself first and started actually using these notebooks in my language study. And after that, I thought that okay, maybe this cover doesn't maybe tell enough to the customers how you can use it. So I started creating different covers. So I basically have one product with almost 500 cover options. If you don't want to have like this cover, I have also the cover with the design of like Spanish flag for Spanish language. But I actually yesterday added 20 more for Spanish. So I have now a cover for Chilean Spanish, Argentinian Spanish, and like almost any language. Not any. There are 7,000 languages, and I currently have like almost 500 different cover options. And then later I created another product line which is almost the same, but I already have the uh, left pages already have the answers from English to the target language. But
Amazing.
I have only like from English to 19 languages this, because it costs much more to pay the translators to create these. Because the first one, which is the fill in the blanks notebook, I already have it. I just needed more covers. But now I also have the first one that I explained, the fill in the blanks notebook. I also have for Finnish, Swedish, and Estonian customers, and I'm going to create the same for other languages too. And that's actually how I met my wife, because I was creating the second product line from English to Russian notebook. So I hired my wife found my Instagram and told that she was interested about my project. Then I hired her, and then I paid it right after to translate the English Ukrainian version as well. And then we started practicing together Spanish, and she helped me with Russian, and I helped her with Finnish. And that's how it started little by little. And yeah, now we live together, we're married, and we're going to have our first baby. So, and it all started,
Oh,
yeah, so it's all started from this language notebook project.
cool, cool.
And I have to
And
mention one thing more. Our honeymoon was in Ukraine. We kayaked 700 kilometers across Ukraine from Kiev to Kherson by kayak. So that was our honeymoon.
oh, that's a very great idea, kayaking.
Yeah.
But was it before the war?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
sure.
suppose.
That was 1 year before. So that was actually the last year when that was possible. Because I don't know
Oh
now
wow,
when
wow.
it will be possible to even visit Ukraine, but yeah, we were lucky to be able to do it.
Oh, I I find it amazing. I wish I can do something similar. I don't know if for honeymoon, but
You should try
but
it. It's a really good test for your relationship.
oh wow. Ah, if you say about tasting, I mean, in that case, I'm even more interested. Oh,
Yeah, because
cool.
you have to the physical strain of kayaking 20 to 30 kilometers every day, and then finding a place where you put your tent. Of course, in the cities we had some Airbnbs, but like between we were just sleeping in the tent and just showering. I was bathing in the river, and Dnieper isn't always that clean. So yeah, that was a good challenge. But
But how did you carry your stuff? Like you had a big backpack, so and kayaking
well,
big backpacks.
we had, yeah, we had some bags, but I have actually on my YouTube, on Ultimate Language Notebook YouTube, I have a lot of material. I have actually videos, vlogs about that trip. I made one video every day. It's like, I think, kayaking across Ukraine and learning Russian, or learning Russian and kayaking. I can send you the link later, but there you can see like what kind of gear we had and everything. So if that interests you, I can send you the link.
Oh, don't worry, I'm already looking for that.
Yeah, okay, okay. But yeah, was there anything else, or should we wrap up the episode?
Yeah. Okay. Well, a very nice thing to know. I love it. But now, can you tell me first of all, like getting back to languages a little bit?
Yeah,
Um, First of all, what are your native languages, and what are the languages that you have a proficient level? Consider that you have
yeah.
a good level.
So Finnish is my native language, and English I learned when I was 6 years old. We lived 1 year in England. After that, 3 years in Estonia. So I did my first three classes in Estonia. So Estonian. After that, it was German, uh, which I actually started learning in Estonia as a child. Swedish on seventh grade, because it's a mandatory language in Finland.
Oh, okay.
In high school, Italian and Spanish. In the university, when I was studying medicine, I actually dropped out. But during my studies, I started Portuguese, and after that, when in my business studies, I started French and Russian. And after that, the list is too long. I have to make a complete episode about those stories.
Cool. No, cool.
Yeah.
What is your favorite language? What would you say that?
Favorite language, if I had to, well, of course, my mother tongue, because I can express myself the best in Finnish. But if we can't count Finnish, then I mean, probably the ones that I speak the best, English and Estonian as well. But if I think how they sound, maybe, well, I like Persian, Brazilian Portuguese. Yeah, maybe how they sound. These are my top two. The simplicity of grammar, I would say Swedish and Indonesian. And when it comes to writing systems, I think Hindi, like the Devanagari, is quite beautiful. Yeah.
Cool. What a thorough answer. I I would say that interesting the way you answer, because I was probably expecting one straightforward answer and only one language, like saying that one, but you said like
It's
in
hard.
different categories.
There are so
It's
many.
interesting.
Yeah. There are so many ways of measuring, like in which way.
But now that you made me think, for example, for some reason the language that I truly enjoy writing, like using my hands to write in that language, for some reason is French and Russian. Those two equally. But for example, like when I write something in Polish, it's like not the same, just not the same. It's like I don't like it. I actually don't like writing in any of those languages. First, because my handwriting for some reason not beautiful in those languages, but when I write in French or with the handwriting cursive Russian, oh, like it's just like a dopamine doses with me. But speaking, like, if there's a language that I enjoy speaking in that way, it would be German. In that case, is the language that makes me feel like very useful and like, oh, my brain, well done, Amadeo, you deserve the best. And like when I speak German, and probably also Russian, because Russian is because I've been actually useful speaking Russian, like to help other people who don't speak Russian, and then, oh, can somebody call Amadeo? And it's like,
Yeah.
and I appear like my I've met people who are more proficient in on Russian than me, but of course, like when somebody says like, oh, call Amadeo, he might help you.
Yeah.
Here I am. I've been learning Russian for this reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. But with German, it's like, well done, Amadeo. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the language that I love a lot listening to is Turkish. I just like how it sounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound aggressive. It doesn't sound so weird. Sometimes they have, uh, well, since they have the vowel harmony, just like in Finnish. Uh, Sometimes they finish a sentence with the same kind of vowel, and for me it's like a very smooth way to finish like a sentence. And it's like, oh, mwah. It's okay, there's a reason why it's called vowel harmony. So for me it's indeed a harmony for my ears.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. anyways, yeah, I think we can end the episode and continue a bit after ending for the viewers. I think we had a really good and thorough episode. So thank you all for listening this far. If you're still listening after 2 hours, I hope there are many who are still listening. And thank you, Amadeo. And with all of you others, we'll see you in the next episode again.
Wow, that amazing. Thanks for your invitation. I really enjoyed talking a lot because I talked a lot, but I enjoyed that. And I also hope to more know about, I suppose that your followers already know, but the new ones.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everyone.
So goodbye, my friend, and goodbye, everyone. Bye bye.